knows I was just talking about doing some pulls tomorrow. But we got some highway ahead of us, and that police officer just got off the road. So I'm gonna shut up so you can better hear the car and let the car do some talking. And see if I can hit a third gear pull here, which I'm pretty sure I can. Oh no, not too high. It's 6,000 RPMs. So the red line is 7, but that's still a little bit too high for my comfort. But you know, here we go. Just now, but that's definitely the fastest I've been in this car so far. Oh man. Oh wow, man. It's still fucking scary. Okay, so just to let you guys know, personally, I mean, despite the fact that I've had a lot of super high horsepower, you know, not super high, but despite the fact that I've had some high horsepower cars, I don't make it a habit of driving at insanely high speeds. Generally speaking, you know, third, fourth gear pulls when you're high horsepower gets you decently fast away from anything that's trying to fuck with you. So you don't really need to stay, you know, topping the car out. Once you've stretched the guy beside you, you made your point. Oh man, so the fastest I've ever been, if I didn't just say that, my bad. 156 miles an hour, and it was an SRT4, the Challenger. Challenger was being a dick. It was a Challenger RT back in the day, I think around like 2010, 11, and we were both fighting, jockeying for position, and when I tried to pass him, he just punched it, so I stuck on it and stayed with him. And we kind of got locked in position, or I couldn't gain any more ground on him, but he couldn't gain any more ground on me either. So yeah, so I just stayed on it, and I wound up staying on it for a good stretch, a mile or two, before I finally let off or whatnot. And that wasn't faster than that. I'll just say that it wasn't faster, but it was close to being there. Holy shit! And the car's got auto rev matching, and I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about that. Maybe I guess this gives you like if it automatically rev matches, it gives you like a warning, a heads up before you drop it. To be 100% honest, I really don't see the 100% the benefits of that shit yet. When you guys can enlighten me, I know it's supposed to, you know, from what I remember hearing before, it's supposed to help you with your shifts or whatnot. But I mean, if you're dropping it into a gear and it's gonna be there anyway, then what the hell is the point if it does it a second before you let go of the clutch? Anyway, I'm trying to go a little slower here so that way we can get a third gear pull, because that pull I did a minute ago was fourth. And it seems like third was where it makes most of its power. So there we go. It's one of those weird situations I'm in with this car. I don't want to downplay the car too much, because, you know, the fact that I've been in 400 plus horsepower, 2,500 pound cars, it kind of spoils most everything else that I've ever been in. The last thing that I've ever been riding in that gave me any kind of like really genuine like, oh, this is fucking fast, was the Hellcat. And even then, the Hellcat didn't like get me in my feels like bad. Like the last time I was genuinely scared, being behind, you know, being in the passenger seat with somebody, was my homeboy when he was driving, you know, the Honda with the somebody's being a dickhead. This asshole's blinding me on purpose. What the fuck is he doing? Anyway, fucking asshole. So the last time I was really scared in the car, like, oh my god, this is fucking fast, was the fucking my homeboy's hatch with the engine I built for him. It was making 450, and it scared the shit out of me. But driving in the Hellcat, which is like 700 horsepower rated to the crank, you know, so it's high 600s for sure, didn't really scare me. But the car's 4,000 pounds, so it kind of takes away from, you know, you know. And then like this car right here, this is definitely the fastest car I've owned in years since a Del Sol, and it pulls nice. Like, I imagine that if I would have drove this car back in the day, before I had my first turbo car, or before I had my first turbo Honda, I would have been, you know, I would think I would have been genuinely blown away. Because I remember my first reaction to my SRT4, and the SRT4 was like super fucking fun. And this car's definitely faster than that car. And I remember just, you know, tearing up the SRT4, you know, feeling really fast in that car, even though I wasn't stupid enough then to know or to think that it was faster than most of the shit out there. But it was still, it gave me, you know, a lot of joy driving that car. This car makes me happy too. But I think I just want to temper people's expectations. I don't want to hype up the car too much, saying, you know, oh my God, it's a fast car, because it is definitely respectably fast, right? Especially if you're buying a new Type R. I think the 2020 and the 2021 Type Rs, they're supposedly running 12.9s in a quarter mile, which is a huge leg up over the current Type R I'm driving right now. So my judgment's always been that once you get up to the 12 second bracket, once you hit that 12-second bracket, you're driving a legit fast car. So the fact that I think this is supposed to run like a 13.6 or some shit like that, you know, yeah, that's why I say it's not really a fast car. So 10 years ago, this car would have been considered really fast. Now I'm just a little bit too normalized with the car, but the car does perform very well. I think that anybody who drives a car, especially if you haven't experienced a lightweight, high horsepower car, you're gonna have a lot of fun driving this fucking thing. It's a great car to drive. But like, it moves, and like I said, like, you definitely get the sense of the power that it still pulls and whatnot. It's still pulling up top, but it's not that breakneck speed that you get when you're driving a 2,500 horsepower or a 400 plus horsepower 2,500 pound car. Because now, while compared to today's standards, the Type R is still considered a lighter car, I believe that the Type R still clocks in at like 3,100 pounds, in the 3,100 pound range. So for me, that's still kind of hefty. That's still kind of fucking hefty. It's still a bit of a heavy car. So lightweight, maybe compared to some of these 3,500 pound cars, 4,000 pound cars, but definitely not lightweight compared to what the things I've been used to. And the fact that this car is 3,000 plus pounds and rated at 306, and you know, I think these things dyno stock around like 285. You know, you guys can correct me if you're wrong. Because of the fact that I didn't think that I'd ever own one of these. You know, I played with the idea, but I didn't actually think I'd go through with buying one. I think if you know, the meaning, I haven't paid too much attention to the stock dynographs when I was seeing them. I looked at the ones that were modded, but I didn't really pay attention to baselines for these stock cars. But I do believe they clock in around 285. So 285 wheel horsepower in a 3,100 pound car. You're talking about sub 300 horsepower. It's not anything that's gonna to be like, you know, I know we used to joke around back in the day that, oh, that kind of power will kill you. This isn't that kind of shit. The car feels very stable for the power level it has. The suspension feels very stable for the power level it has. Like, even now, when I was pulling just now, this is the fastest I've ever been in this car. So this is the first time I've really pushed its top end. There's higher top end speed, and I feel like I still felt secure doing that. Like, if it was more of a straightaway instead of a curving drive that I was running, I would have probably felt a little bit better, because I think I was turning at one point in time. But I still think it feels completely secure at those speeds. Like, I don't feel like I was sketchy. At that point, I just felt like, you know, I felt it was time to let off of it, just because of the fact that I'm not fucking 20 years old anymore. I got kids and a wife, and I do realize and respect and understand that at the speed I was just going, if anything goes wrong, there goes, you know, the car and potentially my life. So while I am definitely very competitive in the moment, if I'm racing somebody, or if I'm running around with somebody and I don't pay attention to the dashboard, I'm just locked into paying attention to performance, that's different than you know, my competitiveness, I think, will override my safety features as a dad, you know. which is also the main reason why I want to modify the type, the S2000, because if that car is making its big power and that's the one I'm going to be pushing more often, then it's just better off that I'm riding alone in that. But yeah, so again, I guess so for just driving performance and a straight line pull, the Type R is a lot of fun. It's not anything that will scare an experienced driver, but it's not anything to leave you lacking. Like, I don't think that you can genuinely complain about this car for what it is, especially if you get one unlike me. Like, if you pay, $33,000, $35,000 for one of these cars, you definitely shouldn't be complaining for the performance you're getting for that price tag. Now, my original complaint when when the Type R first came out, I remember arguing back and forth with a friend of mine. Not really arguing, but just debating back and forth. And I was actually kind of depressed at how little output the Type R had. I was kind of upset about the 306 horsepower mark, especially when we started seeing the MSR, when we started seeing dealer inflation that I eventually wound up buying into. The dealer inflation of these cars, the $40,000+ range, you can buy, my argument then was, why the fuck would I pay $45,000 for a Civic Type R when I can buy a Mustang GT or a Camaro SS that both of those cars, stock for stock, whoop the Type R's ass. Now, of course, you're going to have the Type R defenders who'll come in and say that, oh, well, you maybe you don't beat it in a straight line. You beat it in a straight line, but you won't beat it on the track. And that was my friend's argument back in the day was, oh, the Type R is not designed to go fast in a straight line. The Type R is designed to go fast in the curves and whatnot. And I don't care about shit like that because I'm not going to any track days. I never have, and I don't ever plan on it. And, how much turning do you do, going through traffic? Not much. The slight turn here, a slight turn there. So I think that while the Type R was designed for shit like the Nürburgring and whatnot, I think it's just impractical for most people to drive there. So if you want to argue the cost versus performance for this car, I think that there's a big argument that to buying an American muscle car. Now, where the other advantage comes in for the Type R being the fact that you're going to have infinitely better gas mileage in this car than you would in those cars, even though I've noticed that the Type R sucks way more gas than the SI, which is understandable with a bigger engine and better and more power. But if you're wanting to buy a fucking sedan that's a sports car sedan to drive around with your family and whatnot, and you want to be able to have fun when you're driving it by yourself, or put a smile on your kid's face, then I think you can't really go wrong with this car. Again, the SI, it left me wanting from the immediate first drive off the lot. I'm like, nah, it's okay, but it's nothing to fucking, be impressed about. The Type R is different. The Type R feels like you can get down, and even though cars like the Mustang GT and the Camaro SS beat it in a straight line, I still think for the most part, everything else that I'm running against on the road, it's like puppy kicking. So, or not everything else, of course, guys, but most other normal cars you're gonna run around you, like nobody's gonna be punking you to try and get to a stoplight or cut around you in traffic or whatnot like that. As opposed to when I was driving the SI, where it was a battle against Camrys, and that was frustrating. So, yeah, this video is running a lot longer than I expected, but hope you enjoyed the pulls or whatnot. I'll probably do some more stuff like this in the future. Maybe, what I want to do is, what I definitely want to do is I want to have a video where I drive to work one day. Not something I do any commentary on like I did this one, but just, my normal driving routines, driving through traffic, and how, just that way you can get an idea of how it performs in a crowd or whatnot. So my thing is, where the Type R shines the most for me, and because today I kind of like pushed it a little bit. For the most part, for the week I've been driving, it's been really wet, so I haven't really pushed too hard. Plus I was getting used to how the car feels and whatnot, so I was driving kind of chill. But today it was dry on the way to work. The traffic was a little bit thicker than it had been for the past week. So of course I had some people who zoom up on me. Like I had a guy in a Volkswagen that came up on me real fast, even though I was cruising at a super illegal speed, and the guy still closed in on me real fast. And so I decided to give him the business, and and one other guy in some Infinity shit that I didn't see the numbers on to see exactly what it was. But that guy, I didn't try to